The thing about humans, Zyx 427 gurgled through his speech apparatus, is that they're so fantastically self-centered, they have managed to miss 5 separate alien invasion attempts. He paused dramatically, his eye stalks quivering with amusement. And let me tell you about the 6th, which was by far the most embarrassing of them all. The gathering of extraterrestrial historians floated in the amniotic learning chamber, their various appendages and sensory organs oriented toward the lecturer. This was the most popular seminar at the Galactic University of Comparative Xenology, Failed Invasions, a case study of Earth. Now, before we begin today's lecture, can anyone name the 5 documented invasion attempts? Zyx 427 asked, his dermal chromatophores flashing a pattern that indicated academic enthusiasm. A tentacle shot up from the back of the chamber. Yes, student Vorblex. The Draconian heat ray assault of 1898. The Martian sleeping sickness deployment of 1938. The reticulin mind control broadcast of 1977. The Plagiarinanite infiltration of 2004. And the Arcturian weather manipulation campaign of 2017. The student rattled off, her tentacle curling with pride. Excellent. Though do remember the Draconians prefer the term thermal restructuring beams, not heat rays. They are quite sensitive about that. Zyx 427 corrected. What's remarkable is that humans documented each of these events, but miscategorized them all as fiction or natural phenomena. The 1898 attempt was immortalized as a novel by a human named Wells. The 1938 effort became a radio drama. The others were written off as sci-fi movies, unusual weather patterns, or my personal favorite, swamp gas. A ripple of ammonia-scented laughter percolated through the learning chamber. But today, Zyx 427 continued, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial gurgle. We discussed the most fascinating case of all. The 6th invasion attempt, the one so catastrophically bungled that even the Galactic Historical Archives attempted to purge all records of it. I had to sign 17 non-disclosure agreements just to access the files. The class's excitement was palpable, causing the amniotic fluid to bubble with anticipation. The year was 2023 by Earth's calendar. The would-be conquerors? None other than the Zilphonians. A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. Yes, the same Zilphonians who now run that chain of interstellar frozen dessert parlors. Before they found their true calling, they fancied themselves warriors. This was their only attempt at planetary conquest. After you hear this story, you will understand why they switched to selling ice cream. Commander Bloog of the Zilphonian Imperial Fleet reclined in his command chair, which protested under his considerable bulk. Zilphonians were not a physically impressive species. Imagine a cross between a koala bear and a pineapple, with 7 fingers on each of their 3 hands, and you are in the right galaxy. Display the target planet again. Bloog commanded, his voice crackling with static through his translator badge. The massive view screen flickered to life, showing a blue-green marble suspended in the blackness of space. Earth, announced Science Officer Quimp, her head spines quivering with academic precision. 3rd planet from an unremarkable G-type main sequence star. Surface is 71% covered in dihydrogen monoxide. Weaknesses? Bloog demanded, absent-mindedly scratching one of his 3 armpits. The dominant species, self-designated as humans, possess no natural defenses. No claws, minimal fur coverage, laughably dull teeth. They have developed primitive technology and rudimentary spaceflight, but nothing that could challenge our quantum weaponry, Quimp reported with clinical detachment. Excellent. Bloog's mouth parts curved into what passed for a smile among Zilphonians. And what makes this backwater so valuable that the Emperor himself has ordered its conquest? Lieutenant Zarg, head of resource acquisition, stepped forward. Unlike most Zilphonians, Zarg had opted for cosmetic surgery to appear more intimidating. His head spines had been replaced with metallic implants that constantly emitted a low humming sound he thought was menacing. Everyone else found it deeply annoying. Sir, Earth contains the largest known deposit of unobtainium in the sector, Zarg announced. Unobtainium? Bloog frowned, his central eye blinking rapidly. Never heard of it. It's, extremely rare and valuable, Zarg fumbled. The Emperor needs it for important Imperial projects. What kind of projects? Classified, sir. Very hush-hush. Top secret. Zarg's humming implants increased in frequency, which happened when he was nervous. Bloog narrowed all three of his eyes, but decided not to press the issue. Questioning Imperial motives was a good way to find yourself demoted to waste reclamation duty. Fine. How do we proceed with the invasion? Strategic Officer Klaxu unfurled a holographic map of Earth. I have identified the optimal approach, Commander. Unlike previous failed invasion attempts, we won't announce ourselves with flashy displays of technology. Instead, we will infiltrate their society, learn their weaknesses firsthand, and then strike when they least expect it. Infiltrate, Bloog repeated doubtfully, gesturing to his distinctly non-human physique. How exactly? Our xenomorphic adaptation suits, Sir, Klaxu said proudly. Engineering has outdone themselves this time. Observe. Klaxu pressed a button on his wrist device. With a whir and a series of distressingly moist sounds, his body seemed to melt and reform. Within moments, where once stood a three-armed, multi-eyed Zilphonian, now stood what appeared to be a human male in a business suit. Impressive, Bloog exclaimed, circling the transformed Klaxu. It looks exactly like the specimens we have observed. Thank you, sir, Klaxu replied, his voice now oddly flat and monotonous. The suits are perfect replicas, based on extensive study of human broadcasts. We have programmed them with all typical human behaviors and cultural knowledge. What Klaxu failed to mention was that this extensive study consisted primarily of binge-watching 3 Earth soap operas, a home shopping channel, and a documentary about penguin migration that someone had mistaken for human mating rituals. Excellent work, Klaxu, Bloog said, already imagining how impressed the Emperor would be when he delivered an entire planet. Prepare disguises for the infiltration team. We launch Operation Human Understanding immediately. As the meeting dispersed, Chief Medical Officer Plex sidled up to Science Officer Quimp. Did anyone actually test these suits? She whispered that Quimp's head spines drooped slightly. Engineering says they ran simulations. Simulations? Plex hissed. On actual humans? Well, on the stuffed human replica in the xenobiology lab. You mean the mannequin we stole from that Earth clothing store during the reconnaissance mission? The one wearing the t-shirt that says, "I'm with stupid"? Quimp's chromatophores flushed a guilty purple. It was all we had to work with. Besides, what could possibly go wrong? The small town of Millfield, Nebraska, was not accustomed to strange occurrences. Its claim to fame was having the Midwest's second largest collection of decorative thimbles and a water tower shaped vaguely like a duck, if you squinted, and had recently suffered a concussion when 5 impeccably dressed business people arrived in identical black sedans at exactly 3:17 p.m. on a Tuesday. People noticed, especially since all 5 walked with the same strange, stiff-legged gait, spoke in the same monotonous voice, and kept referring to everyday objects as if they were exotic artifacts. Sheriff Dale Tucker first encountered them at Mabel's Diner, where they had surrounded a salt shaker and were documenting it with intense concentration. "Afternoon, folks," Sheriff Tucker said casually, sliding into the booth across from him. "Don't believe I have seen you around Millfield before." 5 identical heads swiveled toward him with mechanical precision. "Greetings, fellow human," said the one in the center, a woman with an oddly rigid smile and a name tag that read, "Human Female Business Person." Sheriff Tucker blinked. "All right, what brings you to town?" "We are conducting normal human business," announced the one to her left, a man whose suit appeared to be on backward. "We enjoy money and breathing oxygen, as humans do." "Sure, who doesn't?" Tucker replied slowly, his cop instincts tingling. "And what kind of business would that be?" The 5 looked at each other, then huddled together, whispering furiously. Tucker caught fragments like "consult the human behavior database" and "activate conversation protocol 7B. Finally, they broke their huddle and the center one spoke again. "We are in the business of selling." She paused dramatically. "Vacuum cleaners. All 5 of you. Yes. Vacuum cleaners are very complicated. They require 5 business persons to sell them." Tucker scratched his head. "Uh-huh. And where are these vacuum cleaners?" Another huddle, more urgent whispering. "They will arrive. Soon. From our factory, which is located in Human City." Human City. Yes. It is a very normal city, where humans live, and make vacuum cleaners. Sheriff Tucker had been law enforcement in Millfield for 27 years. He'd dealt with drunk teenagers, petty thieves, and that one cult that believed corn was sentient. But this was new. Why don't you all come down to the station with me? I think we should have a longer chat. We would be delighted to visit your government facility, said the one on the far right, who had been quietly licking the laminated menu with apparent fascination. Lead the way, authority human. As Sheriff Tucker escorted the 5 strangers out of the diner, he didn't notice the small drone hovering outside the window, transmitting everything back to a cloaked spaceship in orbit. Disaster, Commander Bloog moaned, watching the live feed from Earth. Absolute disaster. Our infiltration team has been captured less than 1 Earth rotation after landing. Technically, sir, Quimp pointed out, they haven't been captured. The human authority figure simply invited them to his facility, and they went willingly. Why are they behaving like malfunctioning maintenance droids? Bloog demanded, gesturing to the screen where the disguised Zilphonians were now taking turns drinking from a water fountain in the sheriff's office, expressing loud amazement after each sip. Chief Engineer Zorp cleared his throat nervously. There may be a slight glitch in the cultural assimilation matrix, sir. The suits are working perfectly. The problem is with the behavioral programming. Explain, Bloog growled. Well, we base their human behavior patterns on Earth entertainment broadcasts, but Zorp fidgeted with his tool belt. We may have accidentally used a transmission of something called Saturday Night Live as our primary reference. Specifically, sketches about beings called coneheads and something referred to as the Continental. Bloog's expression could have curdled milk. Fix it. Now. Yes, sir. I will upload a behavioral patch immediately. On the screen, the 5 disguised Zilphonians suddenly froze mid-motion, one of them with water streaming down his chin, then jerked as if electrocuted, and resumed movement with noticeably different mannerisms. Hey man, what's the big deal? Drawled the one previously identified as human female business person, now lounging back in her chair with exaggerated casualness. We're just some cool cats hanging out, you dig? Sheriff Tucker's bewilderment was visible even through the grainy surveillance feed. Did you just change accents? Whoa, heavy accusation, bro. We're just vibing here, keeping it real, as us young humans say. Engineer Zorp winced. I may have overcorrected with some 1970s American counterculture references. Back on the ship, Bloog buried his face in all 3 of his hands. This was supposed to be a covert operation. At this rate, they will expose our existence to the entire planet before dinner. Lieutenant Zarg, always eager to suggest the most aggressive option, stepped forward. Sir, I recommend we initiate Protocol 87C, which is, we teleport down a ravenous space slug to devour the human settlement, eliminating all witnesses and allowing us to retrieve our team. Bloog stared at him. A ravenous space slug? For a town of, he checked the data screen, 4,273 humans? Isn't that overkill? No such thing as overkill in the Emperor's service, sir, Zar declared, his head implants now humming a military march. We are not deploying a space slug, Bloog said firmly. The last time we used one, it ate half our own fleet before we could get it back in containment. Besides, that would hardly be keeping a low profile. What about a small tactical antimatter strike? Zarg suggested hopefully. No antimatter. Bloog roared, causing several junior officers to cower behind their consoles. Medical Officer Plex, who had been quietly monitoring the situation, raised a tentacle. Sir, if I may suggest an alternative, our intelligence indicates that humans have a cultural practice called tourism, where they travel to observe different locations without purpose or productivity. Your point, we could recalibrate our cover story. Instead of business people selling non-existent vacuum cleaners, our team could claim to be tourists who are behaving strangely because they are from a distant land with different customs. Bloog considered this. That might actually work. Humans expect tourists to be confused and awkward, yes? According to our research, absolutely, Plex confirmed. Make it happen. And someone please upload a better behavioral patch. Sheriff Tucker was having the strangest day of his career, which was saying something considering the Great Escaped Circus Animals incident of 2015 as 5 visitors had gone through a series of bewildering personality shifts over the past hour. First, they were stiff, robot-like corporate drones. Then suddenly they transformed into what seemed like rejected extras from a low-budget 1970s film. Now, they were enthusiastically explaining that they were actually tourists from a country called Normania. "We apologize for confusion," said the apparent leader, who had now adopted a vague, unidentifiable European accent. "In Normania, IT is customary to pretend to sell vacuum cleaners when visiting new places. It is our, how you say, icebreaker." Tucker leaned back in his chair, completely baffled but increasingly convinced these people were harmless, just incredibly, monumentally weird. "Normania? Huh? Can't say I have heard of it. It is very small. Between Sweden and the moon." Tucker raised an eyebrow. "Between Sweden and the moon? Yes, it is. Elevated country." Just as Tucker was about to press further, Deputy Finch burst into the office. "Sheriff, we have got reports of a strange object in Millfield Lake. Fishermen are saying there's some kind of giant metal disc that rose up out of the water." The 5 Normanians exchanged panicked glances. "What coincidence," the leader said unconvincingly. "Perhaps we should investigate this lake phenomenon with you." Before Tucker could respond, a tremendous boom shook the building, sending dust raining from the ceiling. "What in tarnation?" Tucker began, rushing to the window. What he saw defied explanation. A massive silver disc hovered over Millfield Lake, pulsing with unearthly lights. Below it, the water churned and steamed. "Is probably weather balloon," offered one of the visitors helpfully. "That's no weather balloon," Tucker said grimly, reaching for his radio. "Finch, call the National Guard. And the FBI. And hell, might as well try NASA while you are at it." As chaos erupted in the sheriff's office, the 5 disguised Zilphonians huddled together, whispering urgently. "The commander has deployed the extraction vessel. But why without warning us first? Perhaps our communication implants malfunctioned. This violates at least 17 covert operation protocols. Should we reveal ourselves now?" The leader made a quick decision. "No, the mission can still succeed if we maintain our cover until we reach the extraction point. Everyone, act natural." They broke their huddle to find Sheriff Tucker staring directly at them, his radio, forgotten, in his hand. "You folks wouldn't happen to know anything about that flying saucer, would you?" he asked quietly. "Flying saucer? What imagination. Clearly it is Swamp GS reflecting light from Venice," the leader declared, while behind her, one of her colleagues was frantically trying to activate what appeared to be a wrist communicator. Tucker's hand moved slowly toward his gun. "Millfield doesn't have any swamps. Then it is weather phenomenon. Very common in Nebraska." The tension in the room was broken by another earth-shaking boom. This time, a blinding beam of light shot from the disc into the center of town, followed by screams and the sound of shattering glass. Tucker made a dive for his shotgun, mounted on the wall, but froze when he heard a distinct clicking sound. He turned to find all 5 visitors pointing strange, glowing devices at him. "We apologize for deception, Sheriff Human," said the leader, her accent suddenly gone. "But your cooperation is now required for planetary conquest." Back on the command ship, chaos reigned. "Who authorized the extraction vessel?" Bloog bellowed, his skin turning a dangerous shade of puce. "We are in the middle of a covert operation." The bridge crew looked at each other in confusion until a junior communications officer raised a trembling appendage. "Sir, it wasn't deployed from our ship. According to the energy signature, it's Archerion." "Archerion?" Bloog's eyes bulged dangerously. "What are HFY doing here?" Strategic Officer Klaxu, the real one, not the one currently holding a Zilphonian stun baton on Sheriff Tucker, pulled up a Galactic communication intercepted minutes earlier. "Sir, it appears the Archerions detected our presence and assumed we were attempting to steal their territory. You will recall their failed weather control invasion of 2017. Yes, I know they claimed Earth first," Bloog said impatiently. "But their attempt failed. It's fair game under Galactic Conquest regulations." "They may not see it that way, sir," Klaxu said carefully. "And there's more. We are also detecting reticulin, plagiarin, and oh no." "What?" "Spit it out." "Draconian energy signatures, sir. It appears our arrival has triggered some kind of invasion reunion." Bloog slumped in his command chair. So you are telling me that all 5 previous would-be Earth conquerors have shown up to challenge our claim? That's correct, sir. They are hailing us now. The view screen flickered to life, splitting into 5 sections, each showing a different alien commander. Despite their physiological differences, they all wore the same expression of territorial annoyance. Zilphonians, sneered the Draconian commander, his scales gleaming under his ship's lighting. How unsurprising to find you scavenging our leftovers. Earth is Draconian territory, hissed the reptilian alien. Our heat rays, thermal restructuring beams, corrected a junior Draconian officer off-screen. Our thermal restructuring beams nearly secured this planet in 1898. We have historical precedents. Nonsense, chittered the insectoid Martian representative. Our sleeping sickness deployment of 1938 was far more effective. Humans actually believed they were being invaded, only because they heard it on their primitive audio broadcasting system, countered the luminous, multidimensional Plagiaran commander. Our nanite infiltration of 2004 was far more sophisticated. As the alien commanders bickered among themselves, Bloog exchanged a despairing look with his officers. Sir, whispered Science Officer Quimp, what about our team on the surface? Right priority 1 is extracting our people before these trigger-happy conquerors start firing on the planet. Hail, the extraction vessel. Communications Officer Plax shook her head. No response, sir. They may have been intercepted by the Arcturians. Bloog took a deep breath, which for Zilphonians involved inflating 3 separate air sacs. I'm going down there myself. Sir, protested Klaxu. Regulations strictly forbid command-level officers from joining ground operations. Regulations also forbid allowing 5 different alien species to engage in an intergalactic jurisdiction dispute over a Class C protected planet, Bloog retorted. The Cosmic Federation would have our appendages. Prepare my xenomorphic adaptation suit. And this time, make sure the behavioral programming is correct. Sheriff Dale Tucker had seen a lot in his 57 years of life, but being held captive by 5 aliens poorly disguised as humans while 6 different spaceships engaged in what appeared to be a cosmic game of chicken above his town was definitely a first. So let me get this straight, he said calmly, hands zip-tied to his office chair. You are aliens called Zilphonians, here to conquer Earth for its unobtainium deposits. But now you are in a territorial dispute with 5 other alien species who all tried to invade us before. Correct, Sheriff Human, replied the leader, who had finally introduced herself as Infiltration Specialist Nix. Your comprehension is impressive for a species that still uses combustion engines. And none of the previous invasions worked because humans are remarkably unobservant, explained another alien, who Tucker had mentally nicknamed Backwards Suit Guy. The Draconian attack was documented as fiction. The Martian attempt was dismissed as radiodrama. The Reticulans were labeled a mass hallucination. The Plagiarans were attributed to computer error. And the Arcturians were written off as climate change. Tucker couldn't help but laugh. So basically, we thwarted 5 alien invasions by being too dumb to notice them. The aliens exchanged uncomfortable glances. Essentially, yes. A sudden flash of light interrupted their conversation as another figure materialized in the sheriff's office, a portly man in an ill-fitting business suit with a name tag reading Normal Human Boss. Commander, gasped Nix and her team, immediately standing at attention. At ease, said the newcomer, before turning to Sheriff Tucker. Greetings, Earth Authority. I am Commander Bloog of the Zilphonian Imperial Fleet. I must apologize for this unfortunate situation. Tucker raised an eyebrow, planning to apologize for the invasion attempt too. About that. Bloog fidgeted uncomfortably. There has been a slight complication. As if on cue, the building shook with a tremendous impact. Through the window, Tucker could see energy beams crisscrossing the sky as the alien ships engaged each other. The other species are not pleased with our presence, Bloog explained. They claim prior rights to Earth conquest. And you all want our planet because, Bloog hesitated, then sighed a sound like air escaping from a whoopee cushion. Initially, we believed your planet contained valuable unobtainium deposits. However, our latest scans indicate this information was incorrect. When the other aliens stepped forward, Our resource officer confused your planet with another in the next system. Earth contains no useful resources we can't synthesize more efficiently. Tucker stared at them in disbelief. So you are telling me 6 advanced alien civilizations are fighting over a planet none of you actually need? Galactic politics are complicated, Bloog said apologetically. Once a conquest claim is filed, withdrawing it causes significant loss of prestige. Outside, the aerial battle intensified. A stray energy beam struck Millfield's beloved duck-shaped water tower, transforming it instantly into a giant rubber duck that quacked mournfully as it toppled over. "This is ridiculous," Tucker muttered. "You are all fighting over who gets to invade us, but none of your invasions ever work, and you don't even want our planet anyway." The aliens looked sheepish and impressive feat given their disguise's limited facial mobility. "When you put it that way," Bloog began, but was interrupted by another violent shake as something massive crashed nearby. Peering out the window, they saw a sleek, iridescent spacecraft had landed in the town square. Its hull bore insignia from all 5 of the other alien civilizations. "The Galactic Federation," gasped Bloog in horror. "Someone must have reported the jurisdiction violation." "Is that bad?" Tucker asked. "Very bad," confirmed Nix. "Unauthorized conquest disputes carry severe penalties, including potential designation as a sentient resources processing technician." "What now?" "The galactic equivalent of a sewage worker," clarified backward suit guy. Tucker watched as a tall, elegant figure emerged from the Federation ship. Even from a distance, it radiated authority and bureaucratic disapproval. "Well," Tucker said thoughtfully, "seems to me you folks have 2 options. Either you all get in trouble with your Federation, or—" Bloog prompted desperately. Tucker smiled. "Or we find a solution that saves face for everyone." Resolution Galactic Federation High Commissioner ZXLL Vorp was not having a good day. Dispatched to investigate reports of an unauthorized conquest jurisdiction dispute, she'd expected a routine arbitration mission. Instead, she found 6 different alien fleets engaging in combat over a Class C protected planet, with enough weapons fire to violate at least 27 cosmic peace accords. "This is going to generate so much paperwork," she muttered as she strode toward the primitive structure where her scanners indicated the Zilphonian commander was located. Before she could reach it, a group emerged from the building, several Zilphonians in poorly configured humanoid disguises and an actual human, who appeared remarkably calm for someone in the middle of an alien invasion crossfire. "Greetings, High Commissioner," called Commander Bloog, attempting a formal galactic salute that his human disguise's limited joints couldn't quite achieve. "What a pleasant surprise." "Save it, Bloog," ZXLL Vorp replied wearily. Her species communicated through modulated light patterns, but she wore a universal translator for diplomatic missions. "You are in violation of Galactic Statutes 457, 892, and 1034B. I'm required to place you and the other commanders under immediate detention, pending tribunal." "That won't be necessary," Bloog said quickly. "The situation has been resolved." "Resolved?" 6 invasion fleets are currently exchanging antimatter torpedoes over a protected planet. "How exactly is that our solve?" The human stepped forward, extending a hand in what the Federation database identified as a customary Earth greeting. "Sheriff Dalet Tukir, Mom. And I believe I can explain." ZXLL Vorp regarded the human with surprise. Typically, species encountering advanced galactic civilizations for the first time reacted with fear, awe, or religious hysteria, not bureaucratic confidence. "Proceed," she said cautiously. "These folks weren't fighting over invasion rights," Tucker explained calmly. "This was all part of the 6th Galactic Cultural Exchange Program." "Cultural exchange?" ZXLL Vorp's translation lights flickered with confusion. "Absolutely. See, Earth has been selected as the first joint diplomatic project between these 6 civilizations. The battle you witnessed was actually a ceremonial display, like a cosmic ballet, demonstrating the unity of these former rivals." ZXLL Vorp's sensory appendages twitched skeptically. "Is that so? And I suppose the giant rubber duck was also part of this cultural exchange. An unfortunately miscalibrated art installation," Tucker said without missing a beat. "The Draconians have always been theatrical. And you, a representative of Earth, approved this exchange program as the highest-ranking government official present. Yes, ma'am, I did. In fact, we are honored to be chosen. Tucker smiled disarmingly. We are planning to make Millfield the official galactic embassy to Earth. Great for tourism. ZXLL Vorp looked from the human to Bloog, who was nodding so vigorously his human mask was slipping, revealing a glimpse of pineapple-textured alien skin beneath. Commander Bloog, may I speak with you privately? She requested. Once out of earshot, she fixed him with a glare that caused her bioluminescence to reach near ultraviolet frequencies. A cultural exchange program? Do you take me for a first-cycle diplomat? This is clearly a conquest attempt gone wrong. Bloog's disguise sagged with defeat. It was a misunderstanding. We thought Earth had unobtainium deposits, but our resource officer mixed up the coordinates. By the time we realized the error, the other species had arrived to contest our claim, and now you're trying to avoid punishment by pretending this was all a diplomatic mission. ZXLL Vorp's appendages twitched in what her species considered eye-rolling. It could be. Bloog insisted. The humans suggested that all 6 species establish a joint cultural center here. We claim it was our intention all along. The humans get access to galactic knowledge. Everybody saves face. ZXLL Vorp considered this. The alternative was charging 6 different species with conquest violations, triggering a bureaucratic nightmare that would consume the next 50 cycles and probably end her hopes for promotion. And the human agrees to this arrangement enthusiastically. Apparently, alien tourism would be very profitable for their town. After a moment of deliberation, ZXLL Vorp sighed, a complex pattern of dimming and brightening. Very well. I will reclassify this incident as a cultural exchange initiative. But, she added sharply, there must be actual cultural exchange. No weapons, no conquest attempts, no accidental subjugation of the local population. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. And someone needs to fix that duck. 1 year later. And that concludes our tour of the Intergalactic Friendship Center, Sheriff now Mayor Dale Tucker announced to the wide-eyed group of tourists. Don't forget to visit our gift shop for authentic alien souvenirs. As the visitors dispersed, many heading toward the shop where Zilphonians in much improved human disguises sold overpriced t-shirts reading, I visited an alien embassy and all I got was this lousy shirt. Tucker allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. In the year since the 6th invasion that wasn't. Millfield had transformed from a forgettable Midwestern town into Earth's hottest tourist destination. The former sheriff's office now served as the administrative center for what the public believed was an elaborate science fiction theme park, complete with incredibly realistic alien performances and technology demonstrations. Only Tucker and a handful of government officials knew the truth that the aliens were, in fact, actual aliens, and that the theme park was a carefully negotiated treaty that satisfied everyone. The aliens saved face, Earth gained controlled access to advanced technology, and Millfield became the wealthiest small town in America. Tucker watched as a group of children excitedly gathered around Commander Bloog, who was demonstrating a holographic display, actually Zilphonian quantum imaging technology, while maintaining his increasingly convincing human disguise. Best failed invasion ever, Tucker murmured to himself, sipping from a mug of what the Zilphonians had originally marketed as authentic alien beverage before discovering it was just incredibly good coffee. The Zilphonians had found their true calling after all, not in conquest or even ice cream, but in intergalactic tourism and merchandising. A S-night fell over Millfield. 6 different spacecraft twinkled in orbit, disguised as human radar as satellites. The giant rubber duck, now permanently installed in the town square as a whimsical art piece, quacked softly in the evening breeze. And somewhere in the Galactic University of Comparative Xenology, a professor named ZYX 427 was already preparing next semester's most popular lecture, How to Fail at Planetary Conquest and Accidentally Start a Business Instead, the Zilphonian Case Study.